On the 21st of August 2017, a native doctor by name Nino Mbata walked into a police station in KwaZulu-Natal province of South Africa to report himself and surrender to the police, telling them that he was tired of eating human flesh. Was this a joke? That was what the police thought, until events would unfold which would rock the country to the roots of its core. Let's go for a ride to find out what happened. When native doctor Nino Mbata walked into the police station on this fateful day to report and surrender himself, the police officer on duty thought that he was joking. But little did Constable Ryan Nachli, who was on duty at the time, know that this was the beginning of a case that was going to take him to the depths his career had never been to before. Now, during the court trial, Officer Ryan, who is the officer who was on duty at the time that Nino surrendered, told the court, I quote, "When he walked into the police station, I thought he was mentally unstable because he kept speaking out of turn. He was shouting, 'I need the police's help because I am tired of being forced to eat human flesh.'" Constable Ryan would go on further to say that he warned Mbata to remain silent, but he was insistent on speaking in the Zulu language. He pointed to the bag and said there were human parts in here. He opened the bag and took out what looked like a hand and put it on the counter. Startled and confused by the hand, it was then that the officer realized that Nino Mbata was serious about what he was saying, and this was no joke. The officer told the judge that he called another police officer to inspect the hand because they still had a bit of a doubt, thinking that maybe, just maybe, it was a doll's hand. He then took out a red tacky from the bag, and a horrible smell came with it. It was at this point that he fully appreciated what he was dealing with and placed Nino Mbata under arrest on suspicion of murder. Upon his arrest, Mbata now led the police to a one-room house where he claimed he was being held captive and forced to eat human flesh. The police were baffled at this time because this is a gentleman who has surrendered himself without no instigation from the law, and he is confessing that he is tired of eating human flesh, and he takes them to an alleged crime scene and is now alleging again that he is actually being forced to eat human flesh. The police followed the accused into the room where they retrieved a small dish. Inside the dish, there looked to be something shaped like an ear and other parts of human body, some of which appeared to be jaws. At this point, Mbata picked up another bucket that appeared to have intestines in it. Mbata, Magubani, and Lamula were eventually rounded up, including a fourth man who was arrested later and charged with them, Sitembiso Setoli, 31, who has since died in prison after apparently taking his own life whilst awaiting trial. Prosecutors said Mugabani and Lamula went to the traditional healer in Mbata to bring them good luck. So now the story becomes clearer. it comes down to money. Apparently, Mugabani and Lamula were in search of good fortune to increase their wealth or to increase the chances of they becoming wealthy. And Nino Mbata, the traditional healer, was said to have promised them that this can be done. Mbata was said to have told them that the ancestors, after he had consulted them, insisted that blood needed to be spilled. Now, if you are familiar with the annals of African voodooism and African black magic, the spilling of blood is something that evokes action from the spiritual world. Even when it has to do with the spilling of an animal's blood, it still gets the work done, as alleged by some people known in the spiritual annals. But when it comes to the spilling of human blood or human sacrifice, it is believed that it works even faster and is more potent to get your results. So, per the ritual, these men were to gain luck and favor from Emuti, and as they set on a prowl to find a victim whose blood to shed for their selfish gains. It was the unfortunate person of Zanele whom they settled on. Further reports indicated that Lamula reportedly found Zanele drunk and was able to get her into his car. This man killed Zanele, and it was said that after Zanele was killed, Mbata instructed Mugabani to eat the 24-year-old woman's flesh for good luck before claiming he was forced into cannibalism. After killing Zanele, the culprits buried her body under big rocks, and the police indicated that they had to call a machine to remove the rocks before they could have access to the body. Initially, they didn't know the identity of the person who had been killed, but moving further through investigations, Zanele was identified by her family members who had parted ways with her earlier after she bade them farewell to travel to see her grandmother. Although they had not heard from her in a couple of days after departure, they never assumed the worst for her, since they know that she's a grown-up woman and she can take care of herself, and it hadn't been long since they parted ways. Further investigations would continue to reveal other dead bodies who are yet to be identified. Now, it's also alleged that some people in the community came forward to complain that it's likely they may have also eaten some of the human flesh unknowingly, because they were buying meat from some of these men from time to time, and they are not yet sure whether this meat is actually human flesh or what they wanted to buy when they approached them. At the end of the trial, Nino and Mugambani were both given life sentences after being found guilty of being directly responsible for the abduction and murder of Laswani, and the third person was acquitted, whilst the fourth person died as a result of he taking his own life whilst in custody. The remains of Zanele Laswani has since been released to her family for burial. Our condolences goes out to all the families of these victims, and may their soul rest in peace. Subscribe to the channel if you already have it, and stay safe out there.